Hello everybody, Helen the Russian here. Here, actually in gorgeous Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm in Canada. I have taken a little vacation to get a break from the heat. That was in Las Vegas, and I do take vacations here and there, as some of you who are watching my channel know by now. But anyhow, while I was taking this vacation, there was some disturbing news that came around yesterday. In the morning, I opened the news feed, and it was here on local Canadian TV, but also on CNN. The incident with Uber driver shooting a man. So for those of you who haven't heard the story, here is the story. Here is exactly what happened. This guy, not an Uber driver, so we're talking about the guy who actually got shot and killed. He's dead. He had some issues with his on and off girlfriend. That's exactly how media reported it. So obviously I don't know what they meant by that, but clearly relationship was volatile because they kept getting together and then they were breaking up clearly. So on this particular night, it was late at night, this girlfriend was having drinks with her female friend, and this guy, the boyfriend, unclear if the relationship was on or off at that stage, but he kept texting her. At some stage, the girlfriend used her phone to order an Uber for her female friend, because female friend was getting quite tipsy, drunk we might say, and she wanted to get her home. So she called an Uber using her phone, put the girlfriend in the car, and went back to the bar where they were spending time. So she didn't get in the car herself. All this time, see, that's unclear to me how boyfriend knew that she is using Uber actively at this particular time, meaning boyfriend assumed that the girl herself, the woman, was in the car, his on-off girlfriend, and she is traveling on Uber. So I'm guessing, I don't know how he spied on her, whatnot, but it's very obvious that he was not watching it himself physically. Otherwise, he would have known that his girlfriend actually went back to the bar. She's not in the car, with the Uber. Anyhow, so the boyfriend, all this time, he kept texting girlfriend going, oh, I'm gonna F off this Uber driver, and, it was not a good thing. So at some point, this boyfriend jumps in his truck, and it's a big truck, and he goes after this Uber car. And at some point, he catches up with them, he followed them, then he leveled off, meaning he got right next to the car and drove for a few moments, drove next to it, and then he literally cut them off and stopped them. So he essentially drove them off the road, meaning he cut them off, he pulled right in front of them with this big truck, so Uber driver was forced to stop. He couldn't go any further. And the guy, Uber driver, had a camera. Once again, importance of having a camera. So this guy jumps out of the truck. All of that is on camera. Now that we know for a fact, because that's been recorded by a camera, which is why it's important to have a camera. He gets out and he starts yelling at this unsuspected Uber driver. Now imagine it's you. You have no idea what happened. Some dude just ran you off the road in a big truck. He gets out of the truck, coming at you, screaming, "I'm gonna F you off. I have a pistol," and he starts reaching into his waistband. Now remember, it's pitch black. The headlights are on Uber driver's car. And so it just so happens that this particular Uber driver just finished his training to be a police officer. All that took place in Florida. So he meaning he went all the way through the academy. That's it. He was just waiting for his job to start. And he had a license to carry conceal, and he had a gun. So when that guy, after running him off the road, aggressively got out of the car screaming, "I'm gonna F you off, I have a pistol," and reach into his waistband, this guy takes out his gun, immediate reaction, and shoots him. One shot, all it took. The guy fell down. As it turned out later, the guy didn't actually have a gun. It was a cell phone in his hand, but it was dark, it was a shiny object, and he said, you could hear it clearly on the camera. He said, "I have a pistol," And so the Uber driver immediately called the police. told them, and you could hear the recording in a very calm voice. He explained what happened. He said, this guy just ran me off the road, came at me screaming, he had a gun. I shot him, he's bleeding. He actually tried to save his life. He tried to stem the bleeding, but very clearly he's a good shot. So the guy's dead. He was dead on the scene. He never even made it to the hospital. Extremely sad story, not the first one. We know this is, in recent months, it's the third or the fourth story of Uber driver being shot at and defending himself, shooting. This is the second story that I know of when the Uber driver defending himself shot the passenger and the passenger died. I'm sorry, not the passenger, the other person. The first story was a few months ago. It was a passenger who got aggressive and threatened and pulled the gun, and Uber driver pulled the gun in return and shot him. In this case, it was just a random guy. Now, this honestly just blows my mind. Think about it for a minute. Like, imagine yourself in this situation. You don't even know what's happening. This Uber driver, remember, the girlfriend was not in the car. So he knew nothing. He didn't know what was happening. He did not know who this guy in the truck was. He could not even fathom what's happening. All he saw is in the middle of the night, on a very dark stretch of road, someone cut him off and coming at him screaming, I'm gonna F you off, I have a pistol. So he did the only thing that he could think of, which was the right thing in my opinion. Now, I am actually quite pleased if you see the news footage for this. The sheriff of that county, straight away, it was ruled justifiable homicide. I didn't know, apparently Florida has the law, it's called stand your ground law, meaning when someone shoots in self-defense, it's not on that person to prove that they were shooting in self-defense. The way the law written in there, and that's what stand your ground means, is the attacker. The burden of proof is on the attacker to prove that he wasn't attacking and threatening the life. He needs to prove that, not the person who defended himself or herself. Which is, honestly, now I'm beginning to think, not a bad law. Anyhow, you should hear, and I hope you will, the comments of the sheriff. It's in Polk County, Florida, I believe, and that sheriff is clearly no nonsense. And I quite liked what he had to say. Now mind, I said that before, I value human life. I'm very sad that someone lost his life. But let's face it, we're all grown-ups. That person certainly was an adult. There is no question about it. We have to be responsible for our actions. I talk about it all the time. And that's what that sheriff said. He said, look, you need to leave Uber drivers alone. You don't go attacking them, don't go threatening them, don't go telling them you're gonna F them off and you have a pistol, because it just might so happen this one of these Uber drivers is a police officer about to start his police career, and he's armed and he's licensed to carry and he's a good shot, and you're gonna end up dead. And that's, I know it's a bit rough, but it is what it is. And honestly, I cannot agree more. Once again, we're all adults. We are responsible for our actions. We, unlike animals, we're actually capable of thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead. We need to stop and think for a moment, look, if I do this, what are the possible consequences? And then it's called risk management and it's called critical thinking. We all know how to do this. Now mind, some people maybe didn't receive enough education, but as you grow older, this is the kind of skills you gain from just going through life. Unless you live absolutely sheltered life and never go out of the house and don't watch TV and don't have an internet, you do gain this critical thinking and those risk management skills. And so that's what you should have done. This guy, it's unclear if he was drunk, because he didn't appear extremely drunk, but who knows, he might have been under influence. Regardless, you have this volatile relationship with your girlfriend, which is, clearly she dodged the bullet in there. That's for sure. God knows what would have happened. But you should know that this could be quite possible consequences of your behavior, and so you should think about it. And now I am pretty sure Uber will, of course, deactivate that driver, which I don't think he cares much. And it didn't sound like his job with the police department in Florida was in jeopardy, and it shouldn't be. because Clark County, sorry, not Clark County, Paul County Sheriff, he was quite clear that it was ruled already justifiable homicide, meaning they're not pressing the charges. This is it. The investigation as such is done. There is nothing. So he's not under investigation. It's all done. This raises the question, though, of what we have to deal with. I read some comments. The entrepreneur made the video about it, and I was really curious to read the comments. A lot of people, drivers from Florida, commented, and apparently that's how Florida is. They said, look, we're facing this kind of thing pretty much on a daily basis. And obviously, Uber doesn't care. Well, I'm glad the sheriff cares. I gotta tell you, that sheriff, I never heard of him before. He is now my second favorite sheriff. And, you don't need to guess who the first one is. I love our sheriff. I think he's awesome. I said that before. Joe Lombardo. But yeah, this is the Polk County Sheriff. He is my second favorite sheriff now. Because that's the way things are. Before people go off with their mouth and yell about police and whatnot, they should think about it for a minute. Well, honestly, obey the law. Don't break the law. Don't do stupid shit, and then this would not happen to you. The guy who got killed, he was relatively young, only in his 20s, I think. And it's a shame. He lost his life. He possibly had a great future ahead of him, but this is it. His life is now over because of not one, but series of stupid decisions that he made, one after another. And we're not talking split second either, because it took him quite a few minutes to first text his girlfriend about, F off Uber driver, and then getting in his truck and then driving and actually zeroing in on that car. I'm guessing he somehow cloned or put the spy software in the girlfriend's phone, which is how he knew exactly where that Uber car was, and which is why he thought the girlfriend was in the car, because all it showed that she's an active Uber ride. Well, in fact, she put someone else in the car. That's what makes me think that, which makes that guy, mentally unstable is the softest term I can come up with. But imagine for a second that this Uber driver was not a trained police officer. He didn't have a gun, because how Uber has that policy about no weapons and whatnot. Imagine it was me, or it was you sitting in there facing that guy was aggressively approaching the car. That much was very clear on the video. We can all see that. There is no question about it. Okay, he didn't have a gun. Well, he was a big guy. You could see that. So what? He would have, if it was me in the car and it was dark, so he couldn't even see that it wasn't the girlfriend in the car. He would have seen a shape, that was that other friend. What? Would he punch me in the face? Would he break my face? Would he break my arm? Would he beat me senseless? And then what? Yeah, okay, I could press charges later on. Lots of good will it do me with the broken face. I won't be able to work for weeks and weeks. There could be a lot of medical bills, so who's gonna pay for that? What, the guy? Yeah, I could sue him ostensibly, but the question is, does he have any money? Are there any assets? And what I'm saying is, this should not be happening. Overall, it's not about even Uber trying to do something, because honestly, I cannot see how Uber could prevent that. I have to be objective. I don't see how. People should take more responsibility, and we should really think before we act. That's all I can say. And for us who drive, we just need to be more careful. And don't hesitate. I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. Again, in this particular case, there was nothing the driver could have done. Like, he did not even know any of this was going on the background. So it wasn't a matter of canceling the ride or whatnot. He had this tipsy girl in the back seat who was perfectly fine, put in there by her girlfriend. He was like, yeah, okay, I'll take you home. It's all good. So didn't even know anything about that. But I don't know what to say. I'm actually not a big supporter of citizens having guns, but in this particular case, I do believe it prevented this guy from getting seriously injured, and possibly the passenger as well, because who knows? Anyhow, that's that. I just wanted to give everyone an update and put my 5 cents in. Let's be responsible adults. I don't know what's happening. What's happening with people thinking about consequences, taking responsibility, thinking things through. Does no one do it anymore? Let's just give it some thought and maybe be a bit more conscious about how we approach life in general. All right? Well, have a nice one, everybody. I'm gonna go and have one last look around Vancouver, and I'll be back home in Las Vegas tomorrow.